Coaching drama. Hubert Davis out at UNC, and now sources tell WRAL Will Wade is leaving NC State. What we're learning about the future of two Triangle college basketball programs.
Our temperature roller coaster continues as we see warm temperatures the next couple of days. But late tomorrow, a cold front brings showers and thunderstorms and then cooler temperatures for the weekend.
I just say I'm so sorry, Mommy.
Heartbreaking interview. The Today Show releases part one of a sit-down between Hoda Kotb and Savannah Guthrie. What Savannah fears could be the reason for her mother's disappearance.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Sources tell WRAL NC State men's basketball coach Will Wade will leave the Wolfpack, returning to the Bayou to coach LSU. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Levingood. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Wade has coached in Raleigh for just one season.
WRAL sports investigative journalist Brian Murphy has been working the phones for hours all morning as he arrived in D.C. for the NCAA tournament. Brian, NC State, LSU, and Coach Wade have yet to officially comment on this.
Yeah, Renee, it's been a crazy story here. Will Wade, after just one season at NC State, looks like he's going back to LSU, and this has been rumored for a long time. In October, there was a report that the Louisiana governor wanted LSU to hire Will Wade. Will Wade tried to dismiss these rumors a couple weeks ago at the ACC championship, but they have just persisted, and LSU has hired many of the administrators from McNeese State, which you'll remember is where Will Wade was the last two seasons before coming to NC State. He came to NC State with a lot of fanfare, saying that there was a reckoning coming for college basketball in the Triangle and across the nation with him at NC State, but he lasted just one season before going back to LSU.
And LSU still has a coach, so the job isn't even open yet. Where does NC State turn from here?
Yeah, Matt McMahon is still the head coach at LSU. He's 60-70 over 4 seasons. You can see why they want to make a change, but they've been waiting to see if they're going to get Will Wade before making that change. As for NC State, a name that's going to pop up immediately is Justin Gainey, former NC State player, was a captain his senior year, played 4 seasons, was the second in all-time starts for NC State when his career was over. He actually started his coaching career at NC State. Some other names you might keep in mind. Flynn Clayman at High Point took them to the NCAA tournament. At UNCW, there's Takayo Siddle. And then a big name that may be out there is St. Louis's Josh Schertz. Of course, Schertz has already signed a contract extension at St. Louis, but Boo Corrigan, the athletic director at NC State, already went through a search last year, so I'm sure he has some names on his list.
And Will Wade, just a brief chapter now in NC basketball history. Brian Murphy reporting live from D.C. as you continue your coverage of the NCAA tournament. Brian, thank you.
All right, so we talked about Wolfpack. Let's talk Tar Heels. Less than 48 hours ago, UNC fired Hubert Davis. And now we have North Carolina and NC State looking for a new head coach at the same time. Let's go ahead and bring in WRAL's Sean Gallagher live in Chapel Hill. So, Sean, right there on campus, or in town, I should say, what's the mood really like right now?
Yeah, Chris, I think people are just ready to move on. They want to know what is next for the men's basketball team going into next season. And if they thought they were going to get any indication from the university's leader, well, they better think twice about that. Lee Roberts continues avoiding answering any real questions about what's next for the men's basketball team. We've heard for days now about how great of a person Hubert Davis is, and no one's denying that. But looking forward, the leader of the university is not giving any type of indication of the coach they want leading the men's basketball team. So while not giving any indication there about who he wants to fill Davis's shoes, he does acknowledge how important athletics are to the university's image.
I always come back to Coach Smith's formulation about athletics being the front porch of the university. So it's not the house. Our mission of service, teaching, and research to the state and its people is obviously the most important thing that we do, but athletics is the most visible, and it's been that way for a long time. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Dunn is contracted with Turnkey Sports.
So Roberts continues to push questions about the coaching search to the athletics department, and AD Bubba Cunningham said on a podcast earlier this week the process will take as long as it needs to in order to find the right fit for Carolina. Now, the Board of Trustees Chair Malcolm Turner also took questions today. The board did lose some of its hiring privileges, you may remember, after the messy process in signing Bill Belichick. And when I asked Turner today if he had any concerns about the changes to that process in this situation here, he says none whatsoever. In Chapel Hill, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
WRAL Sports is working every angle of these stories. You can revisit the history of both coaches, how we got here, and what's ahead for NC State and UNC. You can learn more at the YouTube channel that we have, WRAL's YouTube channel, but don't forget to like and subscribe.
It will feel like spring today. A nice warm up this afternoon ahead of the next front that arrives tomorrow evening. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with today's forecast.
It's pretty out there. We have a look from our Gardner Tower. We're looking across Wake County toward Gardner. Some puffy cumulus clouds. It's a little bit hazy out there, so some moisture in place, which you would expect because our wind is coming out of the southwest. That tends to be a fairly warm, moist flow for us, and that's what's bringing our temperatures way up. We're already at 71 degrees here at noon in the Triangle, 69 in Garner and in Clayton, 71 in Durham and in Chapel Hill. And these temperatures are well above where we were this time yesterday, anywhere from around 15 to around 20 degrees warmer. And we'll see a big jump in our afternoon highs as well. So we're sitting at 71 now. We're headed to almost 80 this afternoon, and it stays really warm overnight. Our temperatures this morning were quite warm in the 50s. Will likely be at around 60 tomorrow morning as you're headed out to work and school. But tomorrow evening, it all changes. A cold front comes through starting during the evening commute. We could start to see some showers and storms in parts of the viewing area, and they could stick around well into the early morning hours. Is that going to affect your Friday night plans? I'm going to walk through Futurecast, and we'll talk about colder air behind this front for the weekend coming up.
All right, sounds good, Elizabeth. Thank you. Breaking this noon, we have learned the woman who was shot in Wake County overnight has died. Police identified her as 43-year-old Jessica Wells. What you're seeing right here on your screen, this is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. The shooting happened on Broken Arrow Court around 12:30 this morning. When deputies arrived, they found Wells suffering from a gunshot wound. And a man is in custody at this time, but we don't know his identity. We're trying to learn that. Deputies say this appears to be an isolated shooting with no word on any motive in the case.
It's been 54 days since Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, was abducted from her home. Savannah told longtime colleague Hoda Kotb in an interview that the family knew immediately their mother did not wander off on her own and that something was terribly wrong. WRAL's Elizabeth Holmes listened to that interview. Elizabeth, what stood out to you?
Well, Savannah Guthrie said she wonders if her fame is the reason why her mother disappeared. In the interview, she walked through the moment she learned that her mother was missing. She learned about her 84-year-old mother's disappearance from her sister. Guthrie said the family thought she may have had a medical episode in the night and that the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, but all of her things were still at the home and she wasn't in any area hospitals. They told investigators that Nancy could not have just wandered off.
She can't wander off. Mm-hmm. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Yeah. Her back was very bad. You know, she was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open. Yeah. And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off. Yeah. And so we were saying, this is...
Do something.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
This isn't... Something is very wrong here.
Now, Savannah's brother speculated that she may have been kidnapped for ransom, possibly because of Savannah Guthrie's position as one of the nation's most well-known anchors. Take a listen.
Somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money. We can make a quick buck. I mean... That would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me. And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law. I'm like so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
She said that the family received multiple ransom notes. They only believed 2 were real. They had to fight off rumors that someone in their own family was responsible. Now, Savannah Guthrie said that she has relied heavily on her faith throughout all of this. The search is still going on, and the family is still asking anyone with information to come forward.
And I'm Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center. This noon, we have just received 911 calls from that tragedy where a 12-year-old was murdered in her home by her brother, 16-year-old Jackson Borrello. That's a look at the scene right here from February 23rd on Tobacco Barn Road. The 911 calls, very disturbing to listen to. I'm just going to summarize what appears to be the father calling 911, telling them that he walked into the house with the kids on the ground, covered in blood. He says, "I think my other son did it." 911 asks if there were any weapons around. He says, yes, a hammer. As we have reported, a knife and a hammer was involved in the incident where the 12-year-old was killed. The 9-year-old brother is still facing some very serious injuries. We know Jackson Borrello made his first court appearance from the hospital, and this is a story that we continue to follow.
Governor Josh Stein is scheduled to speak soon in Western North Carolina about a new proposal to boost Hurricane Helene recovery. Stein is holding a news conference today in Bakersville, and that's where he's expected to announce his third state budget request for Hurricane Helene relief. And he also expects to discuss the next phase of rebuilding Western North Carolina. The 2024 storm killed more than 100 people and caused an estimated $60 billion worth of damage in the state. State officials have only secured a fraction of that from the federal government. Rebuilding that region, it's expected to take years. Earlier today, the governor joined a groundbreaking ceremony at Advent Health Weaversville's new location, and that new hospital is expected to create 1,300 jobs in Madison and Yancey counties.
The U.S. and Israel's war with Iran approaches the 1-month mark. The U.S. Army is raising its enlistment age and backing off rules on recruits with some drug convictions. The new maximum recruitment age moves from 35 to 42. The new age requirements put the Army in line with other military branches. The Air Force raised its maximum enlistment age to 42 from 39 in 2023. The Navy raised its cap from 39 to 41 in 2022. The Army is also easing restrictions for people with a single marijuana conviction.
Next at noon, protective parent accused kidnapper. How far a woman went after she says a boy was bullying her daughter.
The missing flight attendant, what we know about an airline employee who stepped away during a layover in South America and never returned.
Plus, rebuilding bridge progress. It's been 2 years since the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed in Baltimore, but its replacement could be ready for drivers.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Well, this is a nice little picture we have here, giving you a live look at Lake Gaston. Nice, calm, and cool on this pretty nice spring day that we have here as you're watching WRAL News. Available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
A mother charged with kidnapping an 11-year-old boy is scheduled to appear in court tomorrow. Officers say the Utah mother grabbed the boy who was riding on his bike and drove him to her house. Here's Emily Ikeda.
This Utah mom could face jail time for allegedly kidnapping an 11-year-old boy for bullying her daughter at school. The boy's mother, Amberly Colazzo, says her son is traumatized by the incident.
Grabbed him by the arm and said he was going with her to apologize to her daughter, and she put him in her vehicle.
It happened last September in Provo, according to court documents, which detail how 40-year-old Shannon Tafuga allegedly drove around looking for the boy, wanting to confront him about bullying her child. She made him get into her vehicle before taking him to her home to have him apologize and threatened to have her husband beat him up.
And they basically opened their door and told him to get the F out, and he ran all the way home.
Tafuga, who the city says no longer works as a crossing guard at the children's school, is now facing second-degree felony kidnapping and aggravated child abuse charges.
These are serious charges.
They are very serious charges. I think we recognized from the outset that this isn't your typical child kidnapping case. This is not the way to address bullying or to try and stand up for your child.
Tafuga's attorney says the allegations are not accurate and calls them a symptom of an erosion of traditional family values where children were once held accountable by their own parents.
Union leaders are searching for an American Airlines flight attendant who was reported missing after he disappeared during a crew layover in South America. Eric Gutierrez Molina arrived in Colombia on Saturday night. That was on a flight from Miami. The crew had an overnight layover and were scheduled to return to the United States the next morning. Well, friends say the 32-year-old and a friend decided to go out in the town. The coworker was found disoriented and was taken to a medical center, but Gutierrez Molina's location is unknown.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, we have a live look out of the New York City courtroom where former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is set to make his court appearance here for the first time since being arraigned back in January. Of course, we know he's seeking to have his drug trafficking indictment thrown out over a geopolitical dispute here over those legal fees. Now, again, this is the first time that he and his wife are in court since that January arraignment. Right now, his attorneys are arguing and saying that it doesn't make sense for public defenders to represent him. So we're going to continue to follow the latest headlines coming from the courtroom.
Thank you, Laura. It is opening day for Major League Baseball, and the weather is looking great for almost all of the games. Meteorologist Grant Skinner joins us from the Severe Weather Center with a warm start to the season for most. Grant.
Very warm for a lot of the country for opening day. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s for much of the country. Look at Seattle, 52 for the high today. So by that game late today with the Mariners, temperatures will be in the 40s. It'll be a very cool evening. Chicago, a chance for showers and storms with a severe threat. So that's probably we'll have to watch closely for some delays, possible issues with that game. But I think the majority of the country will be good for any of the games today. We have a couple on WRAL. The first one will be at 1:15. That'll be played in Queens, of course, home of the New York Mets. The Pirates are traveling there to play them. Temperatures in the mid-60s by first pitch with partly cloudy skies. I think Paul Skeens probably gets the ball for the Pirates playing against the Mets. And then the Dodgers, of course, you got Shohei Ohtani. A lot of great players there. We got the Diamondbacks playing them at 8:30 p.m. in Los Angeles. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s by first pitch under mostly clear skies. Check this out. This is probably the wildest weather they've had for opening day. This was 1907. They had 6 inches of snow, and then they tried to shovel it away. They got most of it out of there, but there were still piles left on the sides of the field. And so when fans stormed the field for some reason at some point in the game, they ended up throwing snowballs at the players, and then there were, cushions and beer mugs thrown as well. A wild experience. The game had to be forfeited in the 8th inning. So quite a wild experience there in 1907. 74 degrees by the Durham Bulls home opener. That's going to be on March 31st, so next Tuesday. Perfect weather for that. It's going to be a great opening. Temperatures, of course, warming up to the middle of next week.
And we can't wait for that.
I know. The venue right here. They are getting ready. The DBAP looking beautiful on this afternoon.
Look at that. There are people wandering around out there. And look at the grass. I don't know how they do this. I wish they would come to my house. It is so perfect. Today would be a great day. But, thankfully, we're going to see the dip and then right back up.
We're right in time. 70s on Tuesday, opening day.
So exciting to see. Right now, it's 71 degrees. We have that southwest wind at 11 miles per hour. That's pushing that nice warmth in. We should climb up to almost 80 for this afternoon. We check out what's happening with our satellite view because there's a lot of high thin cloud cover out there. It looks very hazy. It almost looks like July out there right now. We have some cumulus clouds from Goldsboro down toward Fayetteville, but again, some clouds to our north that are just bringing us that hazy look. But it's nice and warm, and those clouds aren't going to keep our temperatures down at all. 71 Fuquay Varina and Raleigh, 70 in Wake Forest, 68 in Rollsville, 69 in Clayton right now. So much heat back to the west. We were talking about that earlier in the week. This pink shaded area is where temperatures are way above normal. We're above normal today, and it stays that way through tomorrow. But watch what happens then. Boom. We see all this cold air moving in behind a front that comes through tomorrow night. In the meantime, looking at nearly 80 degrees today for Raleigh, Durham, and Fayetteville, so it looks nice. Of course, we still have high tree pollen, and that's likely to be the case all the way at least to the middle of April. So we have another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before we start to see the pollen dying back a little bit. The pine pollen is that yellow, messy stuff. Oak, maple, and birch is what gets in your nose and makes your eyes water, and it's no fun. Well, doesn't that sound great? Don't you want to get outside? But I want to let you know that we're starting to see the azaleas blooming, and if if you're headed out to our gardens this afternoon, gosh, it doesn't get much better. 76 at 2 o'clock, 78 at 3 o'clock. So it's a beautiful place to be as long as you can stand all of the pollen. We have a roller coaster ride that begins. Our normal low is 43, which is pretty chilly. Tomorrow morning, once again, like this morning, you can leave the coats at home. Mid-50s this morning, looking at 60 for tomorrow morning. Then it's cool near normal Saturday. But Sunday, we're right back into the cold weather, just like we saw a couple of days ago. We could have some patchy frost across our area. Temperatures will be in the low to mid-30s heading out the door, and then we rebound into next week. Let's talk about how the afternoon highs will fare. Again, looking at 79 today, that's well above our normal of 66, 87 tomorrow, and then we drop it 30 degrees to 57 on Saturday. Keep that in mind. We did that earlier in the week. We hit that big drop in our temperature, and then gradually we start to see it creeping up. 87 will tie the record high for tomorrow, and in Fayetteville, 88 will give us a new record. Here's a look at the front that is headed our way for tomorrow evening. We do have some rain along with it, even a little bit of snow up near the Canadian border, but we're looking at that chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms starting around the evening commute, lasting until around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But it won't sit over the entire viewing area for that long. So I'm going to walk through Futurecast and show you when to expect it. It's certainly possible that if you had plans to be out for dinner or a movie, that it could affect your evening plans. After that, a cool but nice, dry, sunny weekend. And then again, we rebound Tuesday's high of 80 degrees for the home opener for the Durham Bulls. Looks nice.
Sounds like it'll be a nice day for baseball, Elizabeth. Coming up on our news this afternoon, frustrated first responders. Durham firefighters want better security around their stations. The report outlining car break-ins going back more than a year. That's today at 4.
And surge in scams. Americans have lost billions to scammers. Tonight at 6, victims tell WRAL Investigates about the costly schemes. Content creators on YouTube can now start making money earlier in their careers. The company is lowering the subscriber threshold to qualify for its shopping affiliate program from 1,000 to 500. The program allows creators to earn kickbacks when viewers or followers buy products tagged in their videos. It applies to YouTube Shorts and live content.
Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in Las Vegas is gambling on a robo-dog to protect its valuables. Basically, the robot can record your face with a timestamp on the video. It's then saved to be used as evidence in court, so don't try to steal. Robo-dog can walk, run, bark, and has thermal cameras so it can see in the dark. And if someone is where they're not supposed to be, the dog can then notify that person they're in an unauthorized area, and they're told they're being recorded, and the museum will contact the police.
Good guard dog, but not very cuddly. Coaching conundrum. NC State and UNC are both on the hunt for new basketball coaches for their men's teams. The new information coming into our newsroom ahead.
Plus, basic baskets. How the soaring price of candy could affect how much people spend on Easter treats. I hope this right here is not that treat. And we do have a look at your winning NC Education Lottery numbers right here on your screen.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
A lot of changes happening in the college basketball world here in the Triangle. Let's begin with breaking news. Sources tell WRAL Will Wade is leaving NC State after one season to return to LSU as its head basketball coach. WRAL's Luis Fernandez joins us now with more on this major coaching shakeup. Luis, how did this happen? Wasn't Will Wade fired from LSU? Why would he go back to LSU?
Well, that's kind of the million-dollar question, Renee, right? Will Wade spent 5 years at LSU. He was fired amid the cloud of an NCAA investigation, but paying players is now okay in college athletics, and the architecture around LSU is very Will Wade friendly. Wade Roos, who hired Wade at his previous stop, McNeese State, is now the LSU president. The Tigers are reportedly looking to hire Heath Schroyer, McNeese State's old athletics director. Even Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry was campaigning for him last year, according to Yahoo Sports. So Will Wade is set to leave NC State, and his legacy in Raleigh is on the shorter end. I think that's fair. Not very far-reaching, a 20-14 record, 10-8 in conference play, a trip to the first four of the NCAA tournament, and a loss to Texas. The complicated element to all of this is Matt McMahon. He's still the head coach at LSU, has not been fired yet. the timing of all of this is going to get complicated as well. NC State is owed $5 million according to Wade's contract if he leaves right now. But if he leaves after April 1st, NC State is owed $3 million. LSU would probably be the ones paying that, and they're spending a lot of money on buyouts already with former football coach Brian Kelly and the eventual buyout that McMahon would be owed. Welcome to college sports. Renee, it is all a business.
And quite the coaching carousel, such a fluid situation. And Lewis, we just learned that LSU's coach just got fired.
Well, there you go. So
there's the
vacancy. Breaking news. That's the domino effect here of all of that. Renee, that was the last thing that really needed to happen to kind of get all of this going. This has been one of the worst kept secrets in college athletics. It's honestly been kind of an awkward situation in general, to be very real about it. So not surprised that that's happening. That was the expectation from national reports and from people who cover LSU locally. So there you go. The position is open now for Will Wade to take. And my assumption would be it's only a matter of time until we hear everything becomes official.
So he's a one-and-done coach. Who might replace him at NC State?
A lot of numbers, a lot of people to watch there, Renee. We don't really have to dust off the list very much because it's only a year old. I want to bring your attention to Tennessee associate head coach Justin Gainey. He's the highest up in the ranks with NC State ties, being the associate head coach for an SEC team. He played for the Wolfpack for 4 years and began his coaching career with NC State.
Interesting March Madness in terms of the coaching drama involving two of our Triangle schools. Exactly. Luis Fernandez, thank you so much.
What a wild last couple of days for college sports fans, right? Well, our sports department is digging deeper into these stories, and you can revisit the history of the coaches we have been talking about, Hubert Davis with UNC and Will Wade with NC State, and then obviously his trip over to LSU now, apparently. And you can catch up with that on the WRAL YouTube channel.
Today marks 2 years since a cargo ship crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, killing 6 construction workers. Now, the ship Dolly was traveling out of the Baltimore harbor when it lost electrical power and propulsion. The vessel hit the southern pier supporting the 2-mile-long bridge. The structure collapsed, and as a result of the crash, killing 6 workers who were fixing potholes in the middle of the night.
And to think about it, we're falling into these frigid waters and also falling while you're looking at tons of steel and concrete that are falling in the water with you.
Can you believe it's been 2 years? Maryland Governor Wes Moore says rebuilding that bridge is now the fastest moving major project in the country. Transportation officials plan to rebuild and open it to traffic in 2030.
This year, our country celebrates its 250th anniversary. And to commemorate this, U.S. coins are getting a makeover. The new dime, quarter, and half-dollar coins commemorate 250 years of America. We'll see 5 quarters released throughout the year depicting 5 major points in America's history. This includes the Mayflower Compact, the Revolutionary War, the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and the Gettysburg Address.
The intent is to share these coins with as many, not just collectors, but with the American public, to give them, an appreciation and a tangible link for America's story that they can hold in their hands.
All right, a little glow up for the American coins, right? There are a few ways you can get your hand on the new coins here. You can check your change at the register. You may get one. You can ask for them at the bank, or you can order directly from the Mint's website.
Today is Equal Pay Day. It marks how long into this year women have to work to equal last year's pay for men. Women working full-time in the U.S. currently earn 81 cents for every dollar paid to men, reflecting a widened pay gap. The Pew Research Center finds women are more likely to prioritize caring for children and to say employers treat them differently. The Equal Pay Today Coalition unsuccessfully pushed for federal pay transparency laws that would have required employers to provide salary ranges in job postings and ban them from seeking candidates' pay histories.
MLB is back on WRAL with a doubleheader to celebrate opening day. First, the New York Mets will host the Pittsburgh Pirates. First pitch is at 1:15 p.m. And then in the West, the back-to-back World Series champions Los Angeles Dodgers. They will visit the Arizona Diamondbacks. First pitch for that game is at 8:30 p.m. Again, you can watch both of these games right here on WRAL.
Skimpier Easter baskets, why candy prices are soaring, and how that's impacting people's spending for the holiday.
Plus, spring is ticking. Beware of more active ticks right now. The ways that you can avoid being bitten.
Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or on the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Easter spending is going up, and the National Retail Federation says shoppers could spend more than ever this year.
Even with egg prices down, other holiday staples are still up, and that's why they're spending more. Jen Sullivan breaks down what it means for your wallet.
Easter spending is expected to break records this year, topping $24 billion. Shoppers are expected to shell out just under $196 per person. That's a more than $6 jump compared to last year.
I think consumers have opted to make savings in other places so that they can spend at events like these because they are important.
Mark Matthews with the National Retail Federation says most consumers say they'll be buying candy and food.
Food is really the key theme that runs through all the data this year.
So let's break down recent food prices. Overall, the price for candy is up 11% in the last 12 months, according to the latest Consumer Price Index report. Meat prices have jumped more than 8% in the last year, and prices have gone up for bakery products, fruits, and vegetables. The good news is egg prices have tumbled by more than 42%.
When we look at inflation, it's remaining stubbornly high, but most of it tends to be services inflation.
Matthew says there are things you can do to help keep costs down.
Signing up to loyalty programs and looking out for those deals.
Cooking a meal instead of eating out can also help lower your costs.
Now, before you shop, head to WRAL.com, search consumer for the best grocery deals across the triangle, including savings on ham.
All right, up next, we're talking about a warm weather warning. Plenty of people enjoy the higher temperatures, but the warmth brings out the bugs. A warning about tick bites as we are digging deeper into spring.
Protecting the planet. NASA is working on a new defense to block asteroids. New plans to get a shield around Earth.
Preying on people who are elderly or people who are lonely or looking to get rich. Easy targets for scams that cost Americans more than $9 billion. Crypto scams are soaring across the country and even here in North Carolina. And if you think you're really vigilant, the FBI says the criminals are getting more and more sophisticated. They're doing this with the help of AI, and they're also getting better at playing with people's emotions to drain bank accounts.
If they start to talk about investing money and asking you to give them money based upon your relationship, your romance, don't do it. Right there, that's a huge red flag.
Tonight at 6 o'clock, WRAL investigates the FBI's efforts to play catch up with these high-tech crooks and why it's so important to get your money even when you find the bad guy there. WRAL is protecting you and your money while online tonight at 6.
Now that the weather is warming, ticks are once again reemerging. It's important to keep an eye out for them because they can carry Lyme disease. The Cleveland Clinic says deer ticks carrying the disease are commonly found in the woods with tall grass. Symptoms of a tick bite include a bullseye rash, joint pain, and nerve issues. When it comes to prevention, it is best to keep your skin covered when you're outdoors. Wear long sleeves and tuck your pants into your socks. Dr. Christopher Bozzoli recommends performing tick checks twice a day and using repellent.
Repellents are very effective. The same repellents that we use for like mosquitoes. DEET at the 20% concentration, safe for pregnant mothers and children. Applied is an effective repellent. If we don't like the texture of DEET, there are alternatives.
If you do find a tick on your body, be careful with removal. It's best to use tweezers and get as close to the skin as possible before pulling it off. You should then wash the area.
Happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, NASA is preparing for and to make history for Artemis 2, which is launching and set to launch next Wednesday after back-to-back delays. The 322-foot tall rocket stands ready on the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center. After several tests have been done, this is going to be a feat more than a decade and tens of billions of dollars in the making. 4 astronauts are taking this journey around the moon, and of course that includes NC State grad Christina Cook.
Well, Blue Origin is working with NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab to develop a defense program to protect Earth against asteroids and other space debris. Elizabeth, it's the so-called Blue Ring is what it's called, right? It'll provide a spacecraft platform from which multiple asteroid deflection techniques can be used. Pretty neat to see that, right? It's to protect our Earth. And one call for objects to be deflected using a concentrated ray of particles, and that attempts to ram the target off course. It's pretty cool.
Hopefully we won't need it.
That's
but
that's
at
the
least
hope.
it's there.
That's the hope that we'll never need it.
Yeah.
The hope is also down here on the ground that the weather will continue to stay nice as we are seeing some golfers out at Pinehurst right now.
Yeah, nice little breeze. You can see the flag flowing right there in front of the resort, Pinehurst Resort and Country Club. Lots of people out on the golf course. It looks absolutely beautiful. We have just a few puffy cumulus clouds that are out there right now. Our temperature is currently 71 degrees, and we have a southwest wind at 11 miles per hour. And that wind, of course, is helping to push all that warmth in, and I know those folks out there on the golf course are pretty comfortable with the way it feels right now. Our next weather maker comes in tomorrow. Now, the bulk of the day tomorrow will feel fine to be outside. It's going to be pretty hot, and then in the evening, this front will help to bring some showers and thunderstorms. It's likely that there'll be some severe storms between Chicago and, say, over toward Ohio, but we're not likely to see that here. By the time it arrives here, it'll be weaker. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll be sunny up to that point, and then we begin to see some showers dropping in. The isolated thunderstorms could pop up by 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon from Raleigh northward. So this does look like it could affect the evening commute for tomorrow. This is a little faster run than the earlier morning run that we had to show you. We're looking at scattered showers and storms at least through 8 to 10 p.m. So it looks like it's going to hang around for a bit, but it's out of here by late evening. Expect it to move through our southern counties by, say, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Watch what happens behind it. You can see everything is sliding southward. That is a shift in our wind. And the northerly wind will help to bring that chilly air that we'll really start to feel during the afternoon on Saturday. We need a lot of rain out of this system, and we're not going to get it. That sounds familiar, right? Anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. It would be great. We've had a lot of fronts come through recently, but they've all been pretty dry like this. If we'd had an inch and a half of rain with each one, we'd be looking pretty good, but that's not what happened. So our drought monitor looks very similar to what it did last week. We have a few of our counties from Siler City, Westford, Sanford, Southern Pines are in moderate drought. And then, of course, we have extreme drought from Rocky Mountain northward. Everybody else is in severe drought. And there's not really much change coming our way. We would need 8 to 10 inches in a month to get rid of our current drought. Now, if we had that spread out over a month, it might be okay. But 8 to 10 inches together would definitely bring us a lot of flooding. Again, not likely to see a whole lot of rain on Friday night. So we do have increased fire risk today. That's likely to continue Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday. We don't have a whole lot of rain in our forecast going forward. I put a yellow light on Saturday for a little iffy for being outside, only to let you know that it's going to be chilly. It'll be fine to be outside as long as you're dressed for it, but it's going to be a rough transition from what we see tomorrow at 87 to drop the high temperature 30 degrees to a high of 57 on Saturday. It's a little warmer Sunday, and then by the time we get to Tuesday and Wednesday, our highs are back into the low to mid 80s, just in time for the first home game for the Durham Bulls.
Nice. Well, baseball's back. An artist turned a building into a canvas. The giant mural welcoming America's pastime.
And here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers here on your screen. 7, 21, 55, 56, and 64. The Powerball is 26, and your Power Play multiplier is 4.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. It looks like 2 local college basketball teams are looking for a new head coach. Sources tell WRAL NC State men's basketball coach Will Wade will leave the Wolfpack to return to LSU. Wade coached in Raleigh for just 1 season, and within the last 30 minutes, we've learned LSU's current coach, Matt McMahon, is officially out. Now, Wade is once again linked to LSU, where he coached for 5 successful seasons before being forced out. WRAL is asking NC State and Wade to confirm his departure. Look for reaction tonight on our evening news.
Less than 48 hours ago, UNC fired Hubert Davis, and now everyone is waiting to find out who will be the next leader of the Tar Heels men's basketball team. Chancellor Lee Roberts is still avoiding any questions, really, to answer them about or giving any indication about the type of coach they want. He does, however, acknowledge how important athletics are to the university's image. We'll bring you any updates on air and online.
New in the last 2 hours, the woman who was shot in Wake County overnight has died. Police identified her as 43-year-old Jessica Wells. The shooting happened at a mobile home on Broken Arrow Court near Nightdale around 12:30 this morning. When deputies got there, they found Wells with a gunshot wound. She later died. A man is in custody, but his identity has not been released.
An iconic statue that's become a bit of a pilgrimage site in Philadelphia is on the move. The trip didn't take long from the bottom of the steps outside the Philadelphia Museum of Art to get inside the museum. The other statue located at the top of the steps was loaned to the city of Philadelphia by Rocky actor Sylvester Stallone, and a new exhibit opens April 25th. Once it ends in August, the statue will be placed at the top of the steps, and the one that's there now will be returned to Stallone.
Just in time for opening pitch at Dodger Stadium. An LA artist reveals a larger-than-life mural he hopes serves as a preview of the MLB season. This mural pays tribute to Japan's pitching powerhouse, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the star of World Series Game 7, Roki Sasaki, and, of course, Shohei Ohtani. Fans can find the 40-foot piece of art on the side of the Torrance Doubletree Hotel. And it comes to life when you scan the QR code and step up to the plate.
Strike one. Strike two. Strike three. And the Dodgers win again.
How awesome is that? A first in the history of the third oldest ballpark in the major leagues. On the eve of opening night, Japanese-based clothing brand Uniqlo announced naming rights at Dodger Stadium. Fans are hoping for a three-peat.
All right, time now for our pet of the day from the SPCA of Wake County. Sawyer is 10 years old and 55 pounds. He has never met a stranger and is super friendly. Sawyer has a lot of energy for being a senior boy, and enjoys a good game of fetch. Sawyer's adoption fee is waived, which includes his neuter, microchip, vaccines, and other wellness care. You can contact the SPCA of Wake County if you would like to meet up and see this gentle pup.
No.
All right, you can get your next local update in 30 minutes on WRAL News Plus.
You can also get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Enjoy today's Goldilocks temperatures. Go out and have a wonderful day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.